Today I want to do a review of WP Vivid, the backup and migration plugin. Now I did, if you follow my channel, I did a review last year, about a year and a half ago, in January 2020, just before COVID hit us. So I did a review back then, and I was comparing the free version and the pro version, basically of the backup plugin. But since a lot of things have changed since then, I thought it would be a good idea to do another review of side-by-side comparison of both, and also add to it what has been added since then, the staging, but mostly the image optimization plugin as well. So if you did see the previous video, that's okay. If not, you can of course look at it with more details, but I'm going to try to cover everything in that one. Now, of course, like I said, WP Vivid does have a free version and also a paid version with more options, of course. So we're going to compare them. So far, I have created a site with Cadence, the Cadence theme, the free version of it, and I have installed the starting site and installed one of the site with Gutenberg just for demo purposes. So as you can see, the only thing that I have there is the Cadence starter template and the blocks. Now I'm going to add the free version of WP Vivid. So WP Vivid, and I think it's in 2 words. No, always missing that. It's in 1 word, sorry. You need to put that without a space. You see we have 3 plugins created by them. So we have the free migration, backup, and staging version. We also have the main WP. We won't take a look at that one, but they do have an extension if you are using main WP for managing your WordPress sites, which I do, by the way. And you also have the new image optimization plugin that we're going to take a look at later on as well. So for now, I'm going to stick to just installing the backup and migration one, and we'll install the compress one for images later on. So of course, just like usually, you just click install now, and after a few seconds, you'll be able to activate it. So this is the interface of the free version. And like I said, I want to compare side by side with the pro one. And I have created another site for Pro, but right now it only has, there's almost nothing on that site. I want to show you the future Pro site, which is simply a new WordPress installation, completely empty. And the only thing that I have on that website right now is the free version of WP Vivid. And I'm going to show you why in a few minutes. It's just because I want to migrate this site to the new one, and then I'm going to install the pro version to be able to compare them side by side. So for now, because of that, I'm going to simply skip the backup and restore and all of that for now. We're going to come back to that while I will be showing them side by side, like I said. So I will go directly to the feature of migrating your website to another one, to another server, or to another URL. So this is what we have with the free version. The paid version, the pro version, is a little bit different in terms of interface, but the principles are the same. Now, like I said, to be able to migrate from one site to the other, you can do that with the free version, but you will need to have a WordPress installation on the destination site, and you will need to also install the free version of the backup plugin. And by the way, I could install the pro version on one and then just install the free version on the second one, on the destination one. And when I restore, it's going to restore everything, of course, including the pro version of the plugin. So like I said, the free version, it's a little bit different. So I'm going to show just the free version for now. So the auto-migration here, what we need to do, as we have here, you can click on that and have the steps to do. So you need to go to the key tab of the destination site. So in my case, it's the Pro. So you see the URL, it's the Pro version. So I'm going to go to my WP Vivid, backup. I'm going to go to the key tab. So that's the main difference between the Pro and the free version, by the way. In the Pro version, we have everything in the migration section. While on the free version, we have two tabs, one for migration and one for the key. So here I will generate a key. You can set it to expire in 2 hours, 8 hours, or 24 hours in the free version. So it doesn't really matter if you do that right away. Of course, if you send it to someone else, then you might want to extend it a little bit more. But in my case, 2 hours will be way enough. And I'm going to click on generate. Now I have the key. I'm going to select that. And I'm going to do a Control-C, Command-C on Mac. And I'm going to go back to my first site, the origin site. And I just need to click on the key here and come here and paste it. So I'm going to paste Control-V here and save my key. So now you see it has changed that field a little bit, but you see now that my key will expire in a little less than 2 hours. And you can also see that it's going to copy from that URL, WP Vivid Free, to that URL, WP Vivid Pro site. Now it asks us, of course, what we want to copy. So the database in the files, the WordPress files. The WordPress files only, not the database, or just the database. So if you overwrite an existing site that already has the same features and so on, but it's just maybe more recent than the one you want to overwrite, you could just copy the database, for example. And you can choose what you want to migrate if you do have the Pro version. Okay? In other words, you can exclude some folders and things like that, which for now, it's okay in our case, since we have only a basic site anyway. So I'm going to, of course, copy everything, database and files. So it tells us here that I need to remove some plugins. So I don't have those plugins here, but it tells me that if I have this plugin, Twilio One Redirect, which I often have, firewall, caching plugin, and so on, it's probably better to simply deactivate those before, because caching plugin can cause some problems. Sometimes security plugins as well, and so on. They also tell you that if you use local by Flywheel, if you are working in a local environment, then it's probably better to do it the manual way instead of the automatic way, because we use automatic migration here. In other words, manual way, we just create a regular backup and we upload that to the new site and restore the backup. Now, let me just click on clone the transfer. And while it does that, it gives you other instructions here. You download the backup. How to do that manually, you download the backup, you upload it, and so on. So pretty simple steps. Now, it's a simple site, so as you can see, it's pretty fast. It's now backing up, and then it's uploading the backup directly to the new site. So only 86 megabytes right now, and it's currently uploading it. Shouldn't take that long, so I think I'm going to keep it live like it is right now, so you see in real time how long it will take. So remember, database size 4 megabytes, file size 86 megabyte, so total size 41 because it's now compressed. And I have 22 megabytes uploaded so far. And it's, of course, continuing to do so. Now, once that is done, which will be the case in a few seconds, you will see that it doesn't install. And there we go. We have transfer succeeded. Please scan the backup list on the destination site to display the backup, then restore the backup. So it does create a backup, it does upload it, but it doesn't restore the backup on the other site. So on this site here, I still have my old plain website. Okay, so now I need to come here and I need to go into my backup and restore, and I need to scan the uploaded backup or received backup. Click on that to see my received backup. And then what I need to do, simply click on restore here to restore that backup, and click the restore, and it shows me what backup I will restore and so on. And click on the restore button. Are you sure? Of course it will override my current site, and yes, I'm sure. Let's do it. So now it does every step, and maybe if you have a bigger site, you might have more than one backup file. So part 1, part 2, part 3, and so on. So it might have divided it in more than one part. It needs to upload all of them, of course, and restore all of them. So right now, it's pretty much done. Here we go. So once it's done, of course, restore completed successfully. It has unlocked me, so I can reload it if I want to. But as you can see now, I'm taken out of my website so that I can simply log in again. So I'm not 100% sure if this is the right login information. So I'm going to log in here. And that's simply because, of course, the account might have changed and different things like that. So, of course, by security, they log you out. I have logged back in. And now if I show, you see that now it still says Vivid free, even though I'm on the Pro website, because it has, of course, overwritten my site. And if I take a look at the home page, you see that now I have the Vivid free, or the website has been restored. So I'm going to just quickly change that so that we don't see any confusion if we ever see the page. So this one is the Pro version, or will be the Pro version, I should say, because right now it's still the free one as well. All right. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to install the Pro version, and then I'll be able to compare side by side which one I want to, not which one, sorry, I was reading at the same time, but compare them side by side, all the features. So I'm going to say already done. And let's upload the new version, or the Pro version, I should say. And now, not too long ago, what WP Vivid has done is, instead of having 3 different plugins, one for backup, one for images compression, image compressions, and one for staging, they have now created one big installer plugin, and you decide what you want to install when you run it. It's kind of a wizard in a certain way. So let me just go and grab it. So let me, oops, forgot to click on that little button. Here we go. So the installer, I'm going to install now. Activate the plugin. And then it's going to load that again and go directly to my license. So I need to go to my account and enter my license, which I'm going to do and click activate after that. So I'm going to pause the video while I do that. By the way, you can also, when you have an account, an unlimited account or more than one license account, you can do just like in my case, you can do a child license. So instead of using always your main license, you can create a child license or sub license, if you want to say it like that, that you can use on only one website, but you can create as many license key as you have the number of license, unlimited in my case, and install it on another website. So in other words, you don't have to always use your main key. You can create a key for each website that you create if you want to. Now, as you can see, since I have migrated, it shows me that WP Backup Free is installed, but all the others are not. So I have the choice to check or uncheck all the features here. So of course I want to install the Backup Pro add-on, Image Optimisation Pro as well. We're going to take a look at those later on. And it will automatically, if I check that one, install the free version. So for both backup and image optimization, they have a free version, so it's going to install them automatically, of course, if I install the Pro at the same time. Then we have the Staging Pro. We're going to talk about that later on. This one doesn't have any free version, but there's a free version of Staging that comes with backup free as well. Then white label and roles and capabilities are only in the freelancer, I think, and above account. So if I take a look at pricing here, just to be sure, there's more than one plan. So of course there's a free trial. The blogger is 2 domains, and this one doesn't have the Staging Pro, but it does have the image optimization and backup pro, of course. So it doesn't have the staging, doesn't have the white label, and doesn't have the role capabilities. But starting with the freelancer one, so freelancer, small business, and ultimate, they all have the same 3 features here: Staging Pro, white label, and roles and capabilities. So we'll take a look at those a little bit later on. So let me click on install now, and I'm going to pause the video while it does that. So everything was done pretty quickly, honestly. Probably something like less than 1 minute to install all of those plugins. So now, of course, you see that I have way more options right there on my left side. So now, time to compare them side by side. So let me just move that a little bit so that we can show them side by side like that. All right, so of course, it treats that as if I was on a tablet mode, so I won't see all the menu, but still, this is the first one. Let's go with settings first. So settings for the free version, settings for the pro version. And by the way, as you can see in the pro version, of course, we have the license that is added, but we have the installer. So if you ever install some plugins, but not all of them, and later on you want to come back and install some other plugins, like the Image Optimization Pro, for example, you can always run the installer again from that menu here. All right, so let's take a look at these options here. So as you can see in the free version, it simply brings us to the settings tab. So that's the difference. We have all the other elements there. While on the Pro, we go directly to a setting category that is completely apart. Now, we have general settings here, so I don't want to go through all of the details of those, but you see here we have a choice between 1 to 7 backups that it retains. And of course, you can have more in Pro version. So in Pro version, there's no drop down. You just specify the number that you want. And you have more options for the incremental backups that we're going to talk about later on, the local backup, and the database backup. So these are all separated, while here we have just general backup. So we calculate the size, we show the plugin in the top bar, and so on. So like I said, I won't go in all the details. I don't want that video to last for 2 hours. So most of the time, the default settings are going to be enough. So keep storing the backups in a local host after uploading to remote storage. This one is unchecked by default. You have that in both of them. And delete the folder if you delete the backup plugin. And you have that options here as well. And you have the out-of-date backups will be removed if the current value of backup rotation is lower than the previous one. Default location of backup, you have local host or cloud storage. Of course, you will need to set a cloud or remote destination first. We're going to talk about that later on. The auto backup before updating. So this is a feature that is really cool. I don't see, and I think the free version, I'm not sure the free version does that. I don't think so. So this is a feature only for Pro version. Yeah, Pro. So you can set the Pro version to automatically create a backup before updating a plugin, a theme, or even WordPress itself. So that way you don't have to remember to do a backup first. And when you do one, for example, I don't know if there's an update here with the theme that is highlighted. I'm not sure it's gonna show it here, by the way. So let me just check something first. So I don't want to change that one because if I update it here, you will probably not see what I mean. So I'm gonna go in right here, open that in a new tab. And when you want to update plugin or themes, you will see that little box here at the top that says that it will auto backup. So you have that in the settings, as I just showed you here. But you can toggle that on or off on a plugin by plugin, if I can say, or update by update basis, if you just want to uncheck that for that particular case. So if you want to update something, then it's possible to do so. And I just have a new update here that has just come up. So let's update that one. While it does that, would probably go pretty fast. So let's continue with, fortunately, I have it open in a new tab. So you have other here if you want to have email reports. Everything is possible there. Import or export your settings. And you can see right now the number of space occupied by your backup. And of course, you have some troubleshooting here as well. So this is for the backup section. You have backup advanced here with the econo mode here. So if you have trouble with backups where, for example, it times out or things like that, so you can enable that. But of course, with that, like it says, it will go slower. Also here, you can use the PDO instead of WPDB. That's what they recommend you to use in a certain way. But like they say, you need to have the PDO MySQL extension installed. So I'm not sure if there's really a way to go to your cPanel and see if that extension is enabled. So maybe what you can do is activate that, save it, and then test to see if it works or not. Because like they say, it is faster, but the reason why it's not enabled by default is that not every server has that extension. So instead of enabling it and having a bunch of requests for help, then they enable the other one by default. So maybe I'm gonna test it. Anyway, I won't probably do a backup right now. So you have the other settings here for the task, the timeout, and so on. Split in megabytes. Like I said, you can have more than one. If you have a big site, when you back up, it might be broken, or when you migrate, broken into many chunks. Roll-in capabilities is something that we probably can check right away. Like I said, it's just with the Pro, and it's just when you have freelancer or above. So it's just to say that each type of administrator, and if you have custom ones, they're going to appear there as well, whether they can, what action they can do. Okay. Now I have a problem with my server. I don't know if it has timed out, possibly. Okay. This one has finished. So anyway, I don't know what's going on here. Problem with my server, communicating with my server. So I don't know what, okay, I'm able to do those. So you can set up, for example, for editor, whether they can do those elements or not. So if you check that, they will be allowed to do so, access the plugin, for example, and so on. And by default, it's not checked, so they don't have access to that. Unused image cleaner, I think that you have that for both. So even with the free version, as you can see here, we have that option as well. Now, if I go back to my settings here, by the way, we have the advanced with less options, but still most of them. Media cleaner, like, is the same thing as unused image cleaner. I don't know why they put a different name, but it's the same thing. So it will scan your site to see if there are some image in the media category here that are not used. So that one's used so that you can get rid of them if you want. So you can enable the quick scan, which is less precise, like they say, but it's going to be faster. You can delete the unused image URL in the database. Of course, it's always good to have a backup before you do things like that, because you can have problems. And you can ignore WebP files, because this is just in the advanced, by the way, in the pro version. But because when you create WebP image as well, probably when you, for example, go into Elementor or any other page builder, even Gutenberg, and you add an image, you're going to add a JPEG or PNG image. So it's maybe a good idea to ignore WebP files so that it doesn't warn you that this file is not used when it is really, in fact, used in the front end. So this is for the settings. Of course, we can take a look later on at the functionality itself. Image optimization, it's not installed on my free site, so that's why you don't see those settings. You have the staging settings, which I don't have here because it's a separate plugin, as you can see here, when you use the Pro. When you use free, it's part of the backup plugin. So again, some settings here regarding the image we'll talk about staging. So image optimization, we'll talk about that later. But the options here, whether when we upload a file, we want it to be optimized right away. We have two servers, by the way, North American and European. Choose the closest one to you. What will be optimized? You can have, of course, a media folder, but you can also use custom folders if you have folders that are part of a team, for example, not in media library, and you want to optimize the different files. And as you can see, it's one or the other, so you will have probably to add your upload folder as well if you do that. Didn't test it, but probably. Then you have the compression mode. So by default, it's lossless. But if you want to use one, like it says here, the more high it is, the better compression you will have, but of course, the lower quality. So you can choose the one that you want. Whether you want to create WebP image here, if you want to convert JPEG and PNG and even GIF. If it's animated GIF, not a good idea, but if it's a regular GIF, maybe change them to WebP, which is a format that is newer without going into details, and that is lighter, but it's supported by all browsers nowadays. So the only one probably that don't support it is Internet Explorer. Do we still talk about that one? So, and if we do so, enable web format on the site and decide whether you use the picture tag or you rewrite the htaccess rule. So one or the other. I usually leave that to the default one, but I think that short pixel, I usually use that one. So one or the other. Anyway, you decide. I'm gonna save changes for future. So this is for the settings. Now let's go directly and, well, staging settings, since I'm there, the number of counts. So this is basically numbers here, the number of files, the size of the files, and so on. So unless you want really tweak tiny things, I don't necessarily go there. You keep the default settings. That should be enough usually, unless you have trouble. So if I go back here to the backup itself, through the tab, you see a couple of pro features here. So let's compare them. We have a dashboard here, which is not the case with the free version, which is simply link, beautiful links to the different settings that we have. These are more links, beside maybe this part here that is something that has some information. The rest is basically just links. Schedule, disable, we'll talk about that later. So we have the manual backup, which is pretty much similar to the backup and restore here. So storage directory that you can change, of course. Save it to localhost or remote storage. Of course, if you select that, it will tell you that you need to, first of all, configure a remote storage. And we can migrate the site. So I click OK, and it brought me to the cloud storage. So you can use Google Drive, Dropbox, pCloud. Really good. Not all of them use pCloud. OneDrive, Amazon, DigitalOcean, FTP, SFTP, Wasabi, and Backblaze storage. So a lot of choices here. Each of them, of course, need to be configured differently, but you will have instructions on how to do that. In the free version, since I'm there, you also have remote storage here, but most of the things will be pro features. So if you want to create your own directory to store the files, you require the pro feature. If not, it will decide it itself. Though it still work, but you have way less options, as you can see. Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, S3, DigitalOcean, FTP, and SFTP. So less options that we have here. Once you had added one, they will appear at the bottom in the storage list, and you can have more than one, by the way, if you want to. So let me go back to the backup. And of course, like I said, this is manual backup because you have the automatic backup with schedule. So database again, whether we want to use just the database or the database and files, or only the database or only files. And of course, the other option, create a staging site, is a little bit strange that this is a pro feature because we have the staging somewhere else. But anyway, let's leave it like that. In custom, you can decide what you want to save. Local and remote storage are right there as well. So comment is something that is only in the pro version. Then you have the step 2, so you see the layout is different, where you decide whether you want to back up the database, the files and folder, and if you want to exclude some files and folders. So if not, of course, you can uncheck that. But if there are some things that you want to get rid of, you simply select it and you click on, let's say I don't want to do cadence. Of course, those are already there. And you click on the exclude file and folder. So you can do that for the themes, for the plugins, for the WP content in general, excluding the upload folder. And you have the upload folder itself if you want to exclude part of it. Let's say, for example, I don't want to back up my cadence starter template folder, so I can put that in the exclusion. In free version, of course, you back up everything, or you back up just the database, but you don't have the choice of every file or folder. Then, of course, step 3, simply click on the backup now, or you can create a schedule with the pro version. Here, we just have the backup now button. You have the option here to select that, making this backup that you will have to delete manually only, so it won't be deleted in the settings. You can delete it after X number of backups, for example. But this one, if you want to make sure that it's not automatically deleted, you can check that checkbox. Same option here with the Pro version here. So as you can see, there's no tab here. So each element is really different in the menu as opposed to what we have here with the Pro version. And in the free version, sorry. And in the free version, we have backup and restore in the same tab. So just below it, we have the backups and we have the uploaded backup, which is a different, or if you want to upload the backup, sorry, which is a different tab. So all my backups that I will create will be listed there, but also those that I upload, whether through a migration or another mean, upload manually. They will appear here, and you can also, of course, scan if you want to scan manually, but it's not always necessary, of course. So they will appear here, while in the Pro version, you need to go into backup and restoration to see those. So backup manager, so it says backup like here, but it's not to create a backup. It's really just to see the. So you have a local host, remote storage. If you have created any, of course, you can upload any here, just like the other tab here in the free one. And you have a log that you don't have in the free version. In a local host, you have the manual backups. You have the schedule backups that are separated. You have also the uploaded backup. So if I upload a backup, rollback backup are backups that are created automatically, as I mentioned, when you update a plugin or theme or WordPress itself, it will create automatic backup. They will appear in the rollback backups. And I can scan here, by the way, but it should be empty. I'll only have the received backups that appear there. It has switched back to uploaded backup. Sorry, it should be there. But anyway, so there is one. Yeah, that's true. I did update. I forgot about that, but I did update WP Vivid. So I do have a backup here in the rollback backups. And incremental backup. This is another good feature of WP Vivid that not every backup plugin has. There's Time Capsule and a couple of others that do have incremental backups, but most of them don't. So you can create incremental backups for just files or for just database. And this is where, of course, you can schedule that as well. This is what it will show if you create any. So an incremental backup, instead of creating a new backup each and every time, let's say, for example, every week based on the schedule, it will simply create one backup. And after that, each and every week, if that's the setting, it will just back up the changes from the previous backup. So, of course, it will create a lighter file the second time. So you will add one to the other. And, of course, depending on the settings, after some point, it will delete all of that and create a new one. So that's the incremental backup. So a good feature if you're the type that really likes incremental, especially, of course, if you have a big site, few gigabytes, might be interesting not to back up everything and take a lot of server resources every time, but do an incremental backup instead. So this is for the backup settings. We have the schedule here in the free version. I do have that, of course, as well in the pro version. Let me backup schedule. There it is. So I'm following the order of the free version. But as you can see, we have the auto-migration that comes first in the pro, but let's follow this one and come back to what is unique to the pro version after. So schedule, you can enable the schedule. Of course, incremental backup is a pro feature and advanced schedule as well. So as you can see here, when we create a schedule, we have 12-hour, daily, weekly, fortnightly, or monthly. Custom is disabled. So these are predefined radio buttons. In the pro version, what you have is, first of all, whether it's an incremental backup or general backup. And if you create an incremental one, I think it will override simply the general one. You cannot have both from memory. So if you enable that, this is what it says here. It will disable full backup schedule. Okay, that's what I was mentioning. So now you can create, for example, a full backup weekly and an incremental one every hour, database one, full backup every week, for example. And you can edit that if you want to change those settings, where you want to save it as well and what you want to be included. So if I deactivate that, and I go to the general backup, which is closer to what we have in the free version. Again, we can enable that. And we create a new schedule. And as you can see, this is not a radio button this time. We have a drop down where we have way more option than what we have in the free version. So you can do that every hour, 2, 4, 8, 12 hours, daily, every 2 days, weekly, fortnightly, and every 13 days, in other words, monthly. You can decide if it's, for example, weekly, which day, and you can specify a specific hour. If it's every 8 hours, of course, you don't have to specify a day. If it's every 30 days, you can specify the number of days, which date, in other words, example, on the 20th of every month, and so on. Let's say every 12 hours. Save it to local, remote, and what to back up exactly. And of course, activate it. You can deactivate without having to delete it if you don't want that to run for any reason. But most of the time, of course, when you create a schedule, that's because you want it to run. Here, same thing, database, WordPress. So the same settings as we have for regular or manual backup, same limitations. And you can have more than one schedule. You cannot have more than one schedule, I should say, in the free version. While in the pro version, you can have as many as you want. Auto-migration. If I switch, so this is what I used to create the second side. So you saw that. So again, the only difference is that the layout is different here. We have two tabs, one to generate a key and one to paste the key. That's mostly the biggest difference between the free and pro one. And as you can see here, the key is the same thing, 2, 8, or 24 hours. So not anything special with the pro version here. Remote storage, we already talked about that. Settings, debug. You can see debug and send it to them. Download it. We have logs here. We have the key that we can generate for the auto migration. Premium, of course, which is just where you can start a free trial, but they show you what you can have with the pro version, depending on the plan that you choose. And main WP, this is a little bit strange that you have a tab for that in the free version and not in the pro version. There's no settings about that. But you can have the main WP plugin, if you, of course, use main WP, to be able to use WP Vivid on all your sites and control them from one interface in main WP. So that's it for the backup section. Let's see here if we have anything that we missed. Cloud storage here is basically the same thing. So like we said, we have more options. Image optimization, lazy load probably goes with that. CDN integration, similar as well. So we can have a CDN integration. So let's talk about that later. But that's about it for the backup portion of the pro version. We have then, of course, export and import in both of them. So this is not a backup per se, but you can export just all your posts, pages, and there are more types coming soon. So I'm not sure it uses custom post type, to be honest. But if you want to export all your pages, for example, I could say next. And you can export everything, or you can decide by author. You can decide between different dates as well. Or, of course, if you don't select anything, you're going to export all the pages or posts. So if I click show pages, then I can decide whether if I want to just export a couple of them or all of them as well, right from there. We can optionally comment them, and you can click on export and download. So it's like the WordPress export feature, but a little bit more powerful. And it gives me a zip file that I can then, well, let me maybe just save it on the desktop for now. Sorry, by the way, my OS is in French. So it says Bureau, but that's the desktop. And you can import after that the pages. So delete exported files in folder. I don't have any, 0 bytes. You can upload and import a file. So I would do that for the file that I just exported. Of course, I won't do that this time, but this is how you would work. Okay. Now, I was expecting that I would have a button to run it. So I don't know if it has overwritten. Okay, just uploaded that. Okay. Now I can select an existing author and I can override existing page or not. So right now, if I don't check that and I start to import, of course, nothing should change because all the same pages are there. So I won't take the time to do that for nothing, but I could import it into another site, of course. So same thing here with the Pro, export and import. Same features if we click on the, for example, pages and click next. Same principle here as well. Okay. So show pages. So nothing special, nothing additional when we use the Pro version in that regard. You can import as well. And then what we have in the Pro version that we don't in the free version, you can replace the URL of the things that you have downloaded or uploaded. So, but anything, for example, I changed my site, I migrated it, and the URL has changed. We have some trouble, image not showing, things like that. We can do a search for and replace. A little bit like we do with other plugins like Better Search and Replace or WP Velvet. I don't remember exactly the name. Velvet something URL. That allows us to replace the URL. Elementor allows you to do that as well. So this is something that you can do here. Which table you want to search for that specific URL to replace it with that one. So let's say, for example, shouldn't have to do that, but if I wanted to replace that old URL by the new one, let's say, just in case I have any files there. So let's replace the old URL here with the new one. Let's search in all my tables. Tables created by plugin or teams, let's say, and start search. Replace done successfully. So this tool supports realize count and rows. So 0, 0, 0, 1 here in the users, 18 in the user meta. So it did a couple of changes here and there. So maybe not everything was done while migrating. So could be a good idea to run that. So post maybe images or things like that. So a good thing. And of course we have the logs here. All right, so this is for the import feature. Image cleaner. So let's go with the image cleaner here. Sorry, not image optimization, image cleaner. Chose the wrong one. Unused image cleaner in the Pro version. So we can scan for all the images to see if there are any images that we don't use. Of course, like I said, always a good idea to have a backup first. But you can scan for all the image and it will tell you if there are some images that are not in used anywhere. So in this particular case, I scanned for 79 items because there's no optimization yet. Sorry. So we have 4 pages of stuff. So of course, isolate selected images, isolate all images. So I didn't take the time really to check that feature, to be quite honest, but it really tells me that I have 79 images that are not used. And that might be because of the option that we mentioned about WebP or something like that, because that would really be surprising that there's so much image that I don't use, to be quite honest. We have, how many images do we have in total? I have 76 items. Wow. So it's pretty impossible that I have 79 items that are not used if I have 76 images, to be quite honest. So I'm not sure that probably shows everything, but if you have many size maybe of the same image, as you can see here, maybe because WordPress by default will create thumbnails and so on. So probably that's why I have so many images, because I have many times the same version, as you can see here. And this is based on the WordPress settings. So anyway, won't delete any of those, but you really need to take care to make sure that what you delete here, you really don't need that, because, of course, good idea to have a backup first. Isolated media here. So when you isolate a media, for example, if I select those 3 and I isolate all of that, they should appear in the isolated media after that. And of course, I can restore them, I can delete, or things like that if you want to delete permanently. I'm going to restore all of them in my case. So same thing in the Pro version, no difference there. Staging. I don't have staging here, simply because in the Pro version, and of course, like I said, starting from memory with the Blogger, don't have the staging Pro, so it starts with Freelancer. So staging site here, even if it was saying for a strange reason that staging in the settings from memory, it was saying something like the staging didn't exist, staging settings here. No, not there, but another place was talking about staging was Pro feature. But as you can see, we do have staging settings here, and we do have staging here. So there is a staging that we can create. And a little bit strangely here, what it does is simply takes us to the according tab. So we can create a new staging site. And the staging site, for those who don't know about that, it's simply a copy of our site that we can use to develop, to test things before we do that on the real site, just to make sure that we don't break anything. Can be an update, can be testing something. So this is for that. So you can create a staging site, which is a copy of the current site, or we can create a new fresh WordPress site. So from scratch, an empty one. So this is something that you can do, and you decide whether you want to copy the themes and some plugins, yes or no, to that site as well. Staging site, pretty similar. If I click, like I said, on create a staging site, it will simply take you to that tab. So website root, which is recommended, inside the WP content, or a subdomain, which is simply a Pro feature. But you can use a subdomain here. So let me go to the staging here. So if I create a new site, you see that subdomain here is in beta version, but is available. And this is the name of the custom directory that is a little bit hidden because that's not a logical name, but you can change it, of course, if you want to. Here, it will give you my staging, which is more common. Let's say it like that. But for security purpose, it's not a bad idea necessarily to have something like that. Choose the database. So custom table prefix, it will create in the same database, it will create new tables. Okay, with that prefix. So same thing here, creates a more random name. Share the same database, which is recommended. Same option here. And install the staging site to another database if you want to, but it's not recommended. Of course, you can test the connection if you do so. And then, of course, like always, you decide what you want to send or to copy to the staging site. So it's grayed out because we don't have options here. Of course, we want to copy the database and files. We don't really have the choice. And the exclude is a Pro feature only. That's why those two are grayed out as well. But here I can exclude things if I wanted to. For example, I'm sure that I won't use those, so I can exclude those folders from my staging site and so on. Then I'll simply click create now, and it's going to create a staging site. The difference in the free version, and that's a little bit strange, you can create a staging site, but you will go there, you will do the testing, test, for example, updates or test different plugins and so on, settings. And if you're satisfied, you'll have to come back to the main site and redo it again from scratch. Because there's no way in the staging site that you create, and let's say, maybe I will have to show it to you so that you really can understand. Let's create a staging site. That shouldn't be too long since it's a small site. 5%, 14. I'm going to pause the video to make it work alone. All right, so like I said, same thing in Pro and free version, except that now it's done. You see the site name here. You have the URL of the site. and of the administration of the site. So if I control click, this is the copy of the site, which is of course identical. And if I use the admin version, of course, I'll have to log in. So let's log in. Once you're logged in, this is one thing that I asked them to do. I know it's been there for a long time for those of you, if you listen to that and say, yeah, it's been there for months or years. That's true. I've bought it when it was released. So it was a black bar like this one. So I asked them to change that, just like another plugin we won't talk about, we won't name, that has an orange bar. So I suggested them to them the orange bar or another color, not to be competitive, but they use the orange one. So that shows you that when you are in the staging site, you have that orange bar, and when you are in the real site, it doesn't. It shows the black bar. So that way, you're sure not to confuse yourself and make edits in the wrong site if you have them in two tabs like I have right now. So that's the difference. What it says here, database name, so on, update the staging site, it's a pro feature, and copy the staging site to live, it's a pro feature. So the way to create the staging site works the same way, but what you don't have in the free version is that you cannot update the staging site, which means that if you have made changes, updates, added plugins, for example, in your live site, in the pro version, you could simply overwrite the staging site without having to delete it and recreate it again. So it will recreate a copy. In other words, it will overwrite the staging site with what you have right now in the live site. And by the way, it was not the case the last time I checked. So that's probably a fairly new feature. You were able to copy the staging site to the live one, but not update the staging site like the other plugin that I'm going to mention later. So that's a good thing that they added that. And of course, copy the staging site. So you have the staging site, you do some testing with updates, or you add new things, like I said. Everything works as expected. So you overwrite the live site. So always do backup first, just in case, because that's one of the problems that I had with WP Vivid when it was released. I had some troubles, honestly, with the update, the backup itself. But at one point, I had created one staging site, and I did overwrite my live site, and it crashed my site. So fortunately, I had a backup, and I restored my site. No problem with that. But I'm pretty sure, and that's why I do video review, by the way, at first view, they seem to have ironed out all of the bugs that I had in memory anyway. So pretty good project right now. But when it was released, there was some people that really liked it and some people like me that had a lot of bugs. So now I can say today that it's a good project, that I do recommend it, uh, but it wasn't the case. So just in case something goes wrong, it's always a good idea, no matter what anyway, to have a backup first. And of course, you can delete the staging site right there and with one click. So this is for staging. The only difference is that we have specific settings and log for staging in the Pro, the only other difference, but we have that, of course, in the free as well in the settings tab. All right, the other things that we have here is about the cloud storage, image optimization, lazy load, and CDN integration. And these are all part of the image optimization that I don't have in the free version. Like I said previously, we're going to add that later on. So here's the time to install my new plugin. So I'm going to add new. And I'm going to do WP Vivid again. And install the free version of the image optimization plugin. And of course, there are free other plugins as well. But let's compare that with the paid one. So, okay. I'm going to go to the settings right away. You have, again, the trial. So the free version, if you remember, does have the Optimisation Pro, and you have 2,000 images that you can use. And I don't think it's by month. It's probably 2,000 images total. So, and of course, each time you optimize one image, it will create many copies. So one image might be 4 or 5 images. So it's not really 2,000. You might divide that by maybe 4 or 5 images, especially if you use WebP images. Starting with Blogger, you have unlimited by domain. So unlimited number of image for each domain that you own. So 2 domains or more, depending on the plan. So let's go with what we have with free. So my account get an API license to optimize images. So you need to enter your email address and create a free account. Or of course you can try the pro version or upgrade to the pro version. So you do that, you will receive an API key. So with that, you will be able to optimize all the images. So it will give you your 2,000 credits. So it shows me that I have 259 images. Remember when we went to the media library, we had only 76. That's because it's just the images that we uploaded. Now, with the WordPress optimization, the default optimization that creates thumbnails and so on. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, by the way, maybe I could just open that. Oops, was not the right one, I think. Here, the settings. So media here. So you see it creates thumbnail by default. It creates a medium-sized image. It creates a large-sized image. So you have at least 3 copies, sometimes a 4th one, that are going to be created automatically when you upload an image. So it doesn't appear in the media library, but it does exist in the backend. So these are the images that you see here. So none are optimized. None, of course, are sent to the cloud server. And I don't have any credit because I didn't optimize my or entered my API key. So of course, I won't do that for this example, but this is what you would do in a regular. Well, let me do that. I'm going to pause the video and just create one quickly. Well, unfortunately, I tried to create a free account, but I always get this error message. So I don't know if it's on my side or not. But it looks like I cannot create a free account. So won't be able to show it to you right now, but I'm going to show it to you anyway in the pro version, which is the same thing, but with, of course, a little bit more options. So we can resize the images, we can compress and resize at the same time, which is usually what you want to do. So let's go with the pro version. So you see I have a bunch of credits. So technically it's not unlimited, but that's pretty near that, over 10 million images. And maybe you can reset that after, I don't know. But I will probably never reach that limit. So all the settings here, we already talked about that. So create the WebP image and so on. So I will cover that again. I'm going to resize the image and bulk optimize at the same time. Smart bulk optimize. The optimized image will appear here. Custom folder. If you want to optimize images in other folders, it is possible to do so here. So 259 images, let's say. Well, let's start that. And I'm going to probably go do something else after that. But let's do that while we check other settings. So I'm going to open that in a new tab to make this work in the background. So we can lazy load also. So this page allows you to enable lazy loading on your website to delay loading images or media, which is PDF or videos and things like that, on your website pages until they are needed. So it will only load the media image, for example, until you reach that point in the what we call the viewport. In other words, the part of the page that we see. So if you enable that, you can enable lazy load. It's only in the pro version, of course. And you have the different types of image that you can upload. You have the content and thumbnails that you can upload the images there and so on. So if I save the change, it should reduce the file size, the loading of the page a little bit because of that. Okay. We also have the CDN integration option. So we can enable CDN, and of course you will need to have a CDN server. So Cloudflare or another one. Uh, Bunny is now just Bunny, not Bunny CDN anymore, or any other that you can enter here. So if you do have a CDN, you can enable it right there. Beside that, that's all for the image optimization section. We also have the debug here, which is general. So you can debug the site, whether it's a shared hosting or VPS dedicated hosting. You have the provider, your email, and so on, and you can send the debug information if they require it from you for debugging purpose and so on. So that's pretty much it. Now let's talk about pricing. Well, it does that. So let me just open that in full screen. So for WP Vivid itself, as you saw, it starts with the Blogger version, but it doesn't have the unlimited. It does have the unlimited, images here, but you don't have the Staging Pro and you don't have the white label and role management. The rest is pretty much the same, and of course, it's all of those prices are for 1 year. You have the freelancer, which is for 10 websites, 10 domains if you prefer, but everything is included. You have the small business, which is $99 per year for 50 domains, and you have the unlimited, which is $149 for unlimited websites. One of the big thing that you have with WP Vivid as well is that you have the possibility to use a lifetime subscription. So instead of, or lifetime license, I should say. So instead of renewing every year, you can buy a one-time fee. For one-time fee, you can buy a license. So for example, you see Blogger is the double, which is $100. Freelancer is about the same as well, and so on. So for example, for Ultimate, it's $300. But so that's about the price of 2 years of subscription, which is really good, honestly. Most of the plugins that you buy, when they do offer lifetime license, it's about 3 to 5 years worth of a yearly subscription. So 2 years here is really good. And by the way, they offered me a coupon code that I will offer you as well for my clients, for my using my affiliate link. You will be able to use a coupon code that I'm going to put below that video that will give you 20% rebate, no matter the plan that you choose, subscription or lifetime, and no matter which one you choose, you're going to have a 20% rebate. So for example, with the Ultimate, it's going to be $240 or $239 or something like that instead of $300. So that's a good thing. Now, is that expensive? Not at all. But let's compare with others. So, for example, the backup and migration here, they tell you everything about the all the features that you have. They compare the free and the pro version for each of those features. So we already did that together. I won't go through that again. But just to say that just the backup section here, if I compare with the tool that I usually use, is iTeams Backup Buddy. Sorry, long day. So Backup Buddy, it's $199. We'll just take a look at the unlimited license because some of you will be agencies, but of course you have also one-site license and so on in most of those plans. So for $199 per year, you have unlimited sites. So it's only for 1 year. So $200 here. If we compare, it's $300, but for lifetime. Or if we go yearly, $149. So this one is cheaper than Backup Buddy. What Backup Buddy does, it does something good with backup, but that's it. We don't have all the other features, of course, that we have here as well. Staging site, image optimization, and so on. So Backup Buddy, $199 per year for unlimited site. Another solution, Updraft. I sometimes use the free version, but if you want the pro version, the premium version, you can, of course, update that manually each year, which is a little bit strange because by using a subscription, you have a big rebate. So if we go with the unlimited version again, it's $195 the first year and then $117 each year. So again, second year and so on, it's cheaper than actually Backup Vivid, WP Vivid, but not the first year. So it's going to take 4 or 5 years until you recoup the same price as WP Vivid. And of course, that's without saying that we don't have all the other benefits. Another one, we talked about Time Capsule, which is the only one, well, it was the first one anyway, probably there are others now, that can do incremental backup. Something that we can do now with WP Vivid as well. So if you want to have incremental backup, you will have to use WP Time Capsule or similar. Yearly for unlimited sites, $200. So $50 more. And they do offer a lifetime license here for a one-time payment of $700. Compare that to here, $300. So it's more than double that price. And this is just for the backup section. So let's go with the cheapest of the three. So $199 per year. This one is $195 and then $117. And this one being, let's say yearly, $199. The cheapest one is Updraft. So let's eliminate the two others. And this is just for the backup portion. Now, we know that we also have the image optimization with all those features. And you see the difference and so on. So you can go take a look at that for yourself. What other solutions that we have? Well, many of them, but let's compare a couple. I use ShortPixel as well. ShortPixel comes with 200 from memory credits per month, but that doesn't mean 200 images. 100 or 200, not completely sure, but anyway. If you buy it, let's go with the regular one. You see that if we go with unlimited images, which doesn't exist, the top one is 16 million. It's $1,000 per month. Of course, most of you will not need 16 million images per month, but still, that's a huge, huge, huge price. That's yearly, but that's per month. So let's go even with 7,000 images. It's still $4 a month, which means $48 a year, just for that thing here. If we go with one time, you can buy credits instead of monthly. So you buy a total of 500,000 images, for example, it's $249. And it doesn't renew each month, of course, but that's still a huge number. But again, a lot more expensive than what we have with WP Vivid if we just take a look at the image optimization part. Another one that is now on AppSumo, by the way, it's E3W image. If we go with the yearly plan, not the monthly one, it's $250 for unlimited sites. With 800 gigabytes of bandwidth, you have a special one of 2 terabytes with AppSumo. And of course, with AppSumo, I think it's something like $50 or $60 for the first one, which is probably grown yearly or something like that. Then you can upgrade with stacking 2 code and 3 codes for 2 terabytes. So cheaper than this, but still, I think something like $150 or so for unlimited sites. This one, though, with AppSumo right now is lifetime, by the way. This one is yearly. If I compare that to, again, WP Vivid, which is $299 for an unlimited lifetime. So it's a little bit cheaper, but of course, it's only for image optimization. Another plan here that we have, WP Compress, does compress images as well, of course, and it supports CDN and so on. So if we compare, we can go up to $99 per month for 5 million images per month. So you might need less, of course, but if we go with unlimited sites, you don't have the choice to go with $99 per month. So that's still, what, $1,200 a year. So more than $1,000 a year for compressing images. So again, let's go with the cheapest one. That will surely be this one. So let's keep that one and flush the other two. So we now have the backup with $200 or so, or $117 a year. And we have the image compression for $250 a year if the AppSumo deal is over. But then we have another thing, which is the staging site. That's one of the reasons that I bought WP Vivid, by the way, for two things: incremental backup and staging. Image optimization was not there at the time. So Staging Site Pro included, of course, starting with Freelancer. Competitor, there are a couple, but the one that I know and that I was using is WP Staging. And this one is $236 a year for unlimited sites. You have 1, 3, and after that, unlimited. So there's a huge difference between 3 and unlimited, of course, as you might guess. So $236. And the only advantage that WP Staging had over WP Vivid at the time was that, like I said, you were able to overwrite your live site with the staging site, and that's all. While with WP Staging, you were able to overwrite the staging site also with the live site. But as I showed you a few minutes ago, now it is included with WP Vivid as well. So now there's a two-way synchronization, if I can say it like that, also with WP Vivid. So same thing here. All right, so if we calculate it that way, let's go with the lowest number, 117. Okay, so let's go with that. $117 a year plus $250 a year for image optimization, $250, plus WP staging of $236, $236. So we have a total of over $600 a year. And that's without talking about the lifetime deal that we have only on E3W right now because of the AppSumo deal. So yearly $600 compared to right here, simply $149. So it's 4 times the price. And don't forget, like I said, that you do have the chance to have a lifetime for $300, which is 50% of those 3 plugins together. And that is for lifetime. The others for 1 year. So is it the best tool? Is it the best backup plugin? Some will say yes, others might say no. It's really up to each of them. But I would say that I'm pretty impressed with what we can do right now. And the incremental backup, not a lot of them can do that. The image optimization, I did compare to a site where I was using ShortPixel with the optimization that I add with WP Vivid. And I must say, first of all, that I add optimized image, then restore them with ShortPixel, then restore them, and then optimize them again with WP Vivid. So I don't know if that made a difference, but what I could say is that we don't see the end size. And I don't know if this one has ended, by the way. Uh, yeah, here we go. So we don't see the end size here. We do see it here, but not in short pixel. So I can only compare the percentage of the optimization. And I must say that short pixel had a better optimization. And short pixel is considered as one of the top ones. Okay. So it doesn't compress as good, probably, as short pixel, probably as good as the others, though. And of course, even if you do have short pixel, unless you want to have one more plugin, it might be a lot easier. It might be way enough for you to just say, well, okay, let's go with that one. A lot easier to use. We install everything at the same time, and that's all. And if you're like me, I have a lot of short pixel credits, but still might be a good idea to use that one. If not, just don't install that one and use short pixel, by the way, no problem. So is it as a good plugin as short pixel or another optimization image plugin? Not necessarily, but way enough to do the job. After that, we have WP staging versus, again, Vivid. Is it as good? I would say if every bugs have been ironed out, I would say it is as good. Yeah, because now it can do the two-way synchronization that it wasn't able to do before. And that's the other reason, and I think I mentioned it, the incremental backup and the staging back Pro was the reason that I first bought WP Vivid. Because on my side, by the way, I was using Backup Buddy and I had the chance to have a lifetime unlimited license. So, which is not the case for most of you. So that's why I didn't buy WP Vivid for the backup itself. But of course, if you don't have any backup right now, plugin that you use, this is a really good option as well. So anyway, Staging Pro, just that was the price of WP Staging. So bottom line, I do highly recommend WP Vivid Pro. You have also a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you encounter any bug and they cannot solve it, you can always refund it inside 30 days. No money, no questions asked. So this is really secure. And like I said, with my coupon code right now, you have 20% discount. They also have an anniversary right now with 20%, and I'm not sure, it's not showing right now, but it should probably because it's 2 years old right now. So they should do a little sale. I received an email about that, though I don't see it here. So maybe that's secret. But anyway, like I said, use my coupon code and my link below the video to have a 20% discount on the plan that you choose and for an extraordinary plugin. So, sorry, long video. I'll try to use timecode if I can see how to use that. And I hope that that video was useful. So thank you and have a good day.